Hi and welcome. Today I'm going to show you how to replace an air tube on our Starhill range. You need a universal inner tube and you need a valve tube in order to replace the tube. The actual replacement has to do on one side and you have to pull the tube all the way through the sleeve. I will demonstrate how now. So I have a small scissor just to make it a bit easier. You can use a knife or you can just simply open the lock if you want. I just use a scissor, gently cut it open. Now the tube inside here is inflated, we want to deflate it. So Simon, he's going to deflate it from the other side and I'm going to open the zipper. Do not open the zipper before it's deflated or the tube will pop out. Once it starts to lose its pressure, then you can open the zipper. Make sure to open the Velcro all the way up and the zipper all the way up. This is the old leaking bladder, which we're going to replace with a new bladder. The first thing you do is you untie the bladder. You make sure that the part that needs to go on the other side is the valve. In this case, this valve needs to go all the way through the tent. You can take these two parts and then you tie them together. Simply just do like this. A good knot. Don't worry about damaging the material, it's quite a durable material. So just tighten it good so it doesn't fall out. Make it easy to go all the way through. Now the difficult part comes. So Simon, he's going to repeat the process over here. So he's going to open the zip tie and open the zipper so we can get easy access for the tube. So now that he has access for the tube, then we need to open the valve. So here you need the tube valve. This might be a two-man job. Sometimes you can do it yourself, but sometimes you need to be two persons. One that holds the tube tight so that when I twist it, it doesn't twist the whole tube. The valves are quite tight. Yeah, got it there. And that's why we need to be two people sometimes. When you get it loose, it's quite easy from there on. Then you can do it on your own. Yeah, the old valve, we don't need that anymore. There's a new valve on the air tube. Yeah, now we're ready for the process of pulling the tube through the sleeve. So what Simon's going to do, he's going to do the pulling part and I'm going to try to align the fabric, the material as we go through. This makes it a lot easier and you can do it in one attempt rather than 2 or 3 attempts. Yeah, so Simon is going to start pulling. You seconds, just make sure that your knot gets through here. Yeah. So what can be difficult here? Simon compresses the material. This is why you have to be two persons. You have to do like this to assist him. Otherwise he cannot get the tube through. And I just have one hand here and the other hand I'm just pulling the fabric. So now I can feel the valve is halfway through, so halfway. And then we need to adjust it afterwards. So now Simon, he's going to try to maintain the valve at the correct position, and I'm just making sure that the fabric is getting stretched out. What you can also see on the other side is that the tube is almost through now. Now the tube is almost completely through, only about 10 centimeters sticking out. Now we need to put the valve back in place. So we need to go back here again. Yeah, so the first thing you need to do, you need to untie the knot. And I did it a bit tight just to make sure it didn't go through, so it might just take a second or two. Yeah. Now the most important part is this valve. It needs to be aligned with the valve hole. So you need to remove the valve again. good idea is to hold firmly on the bottom half of the valve, the part that is placed inside the tube. Now you need to make sure that you don't lose this part. This part can fall to the bottom of the tube. You can get it up again, it's not a big problem, but to make it as easy as possible, hold firmly onto this. So my finger is directly in the valve, so I won't lose it, which makes it a lot easier for me when I get to the positioning of the valve. So I got it pretty much in the first attempt. If it's any problem, you can always just adjust it a bit. The first part just needs to be screwed by hand, and the rest we do with the valve tool. So first part, just screw this on by hand. When you start to feel that it's on the thread, then you can just adjust the last bit of tube. You might have a bit excess material at the bottom, but the tubes are developed so you can just fold it gently and it will fit in anyway. Now we need to be two persons again. So Simon, he will take the key. I will hold the back end, hold the valve in place, and Simon will twist it and tighten it. Just as there's a small cap, just make sure it's not locked in between. And make sure it's tightened quite a lot. So now we need to close off this area over here. So try to see how much extra tube material you have. I have about 5 centimeters extra. So I give it a small fold at the bottom and I put it in. And this doesn't have to be perfect because the air will expand the tube and it will completely close off the area anyway. When you close the zipper, before you pack down the tent, make sure to zip tie it. I won't zip tie it at the moment because we have to make sure the tube is correct, but when we're done, we need to zip tie these. Now we're going to inflate the tent. So just to close off it completely, I do the opposite on the other side. So this side hasn't been closed off yet. You try to measure the length. It's about a couple of centimeters. Fold again, put it in the tube. Make sure it goes completely to the bottom. Close off the zip. And now the tube's inserted. Now we need to adjust it and that's it. So now we're going to inflate the tent again. We're not going to fully inflate the tube, we're only going to inflate it to about halfway, so about 4 psi. We normally recommend between 7 and 9 psi, but in this instance we'll only go to 4 psi. So the reason why I only halfway inflated is because if you have any folds in the material or any kinks that are not supposed to be there, then we can easily remove it. Now, you can take your hands and you can stretch the material around the tube. I actually think we got it pretty well the first time, so I don't think it's necessary to adjust it. But otherwise, if you have a fold in the middle, one hand on each side, stretch the material all the way around. Simon is going to do a full inflation now. And that's it. So no kinks anymore. The last of the pressure completely removed all the creases. So now it's good to go. Make sure to tighten your valve completely after you're done, and that's it.